Mommy, wake up! Wake up! My daughter shook me gently, her face full of worry. I blinked groggily, trying to adjust to the sudden disturbance. Sarah, what's wrong? I asked, rubbing my eyes. Mommy, I think you shouldn't be with Daddy anymore, she said urgently. Her words jolted me awake. What do you mean? I asked, baffled. Sarah, just 5 years old, explained her reasoning in the simplest terms, but the clarity of her observations struck me. As shocking as her suggestion was, I couldn't dismiss her words outright. Let me back up. My name is Emma Simpson, a 34-year-old mom and full-time insurance agent. Balancing my demanding job with taking care of Sarah is no easy feat, especially since I also handle daycare drop-offs and pickups every day between 9 a.m. and 5 p.m. I work tirelessly to meet deadlines, knowing that slacking off isn't an option. Why do I push myself so hard? It's simple, Sarah. She's my everything, bright, thoughtful, and mature beyond her years. She amazes me daily. Providing her with the best life possible means working hard to secure her future. My husband, Keith, also works, but his job is unstable, and his income has steadily declined. These days, he earns about a third of what I do. That alone wouldn't be an issue if it weren't for his financial habits. The other night, after Sarah went to bed, Keith approached me nervously. Emma, can I borrow some money? What for? I asked, already weary. I haven't even received this month's paycheck yet. I promise I'll pay it back next month, he said. I had a few drinking parties and other expenses. I'm short on cash. Wait, you spent your entire salary on yourself? I asked, shocked. Keith avoided my gaze. I'm sorry. I just couldn't say no. This has become a pattern with Keith. He often asks for money, citing reasons like social obligations or helping his parents. At first, I confronted him about it, but over time, I gave up. Lending him money feels like enabling bad behavior, yet I hesitate to say no. Okay, I relented, handing him $200. You're a lifesaver, Emma. I swear I'll pay you back next month, Keith said gratefully. You always say that, but you never do, I replied, my frustration bubbling over. I mean it this time. I'll stop going to drinking parties, too, he promised, though his tone lacked conviction. I sighed deeply, torn between disappointment and resignation. Supporting Keith feels like a duty I can't abandon, not just because he's my husband but because he's a good dad to Sarah. On weekends, he makes an effort to spend quality time with her. One morning, he offered, Emma, I'll take care of Sarah today. Why don't you go out and relax? But I have so much to do at home, I protested. Don't worry about it. We can order lunch and tidy up together later, he insisted. Sarah, still half asleep, smiled. It'll just be me and Daddy playing today? I nodded. Yes, sweetheart. I'll only be gone for a little while. Sarah hugged me tightly. Okay, Mommy. Feeling a bit nervous but grateful for the break, I decided to go shopping. Before leaving, I tapped a note with my phone number into Sarah's bag and reminded her, call me if you need anything, okay? While browsing the department store, I struggled to find something for myself. Instead, I ended up buying clothes I knew Sarah would love and her favorite chocolate croissant. When I got home, Sarah greeted me at the door with a big smile. Mommy, welcome back! Did you have fun shopping? It was nice to have some time to myself, I said, handing her the treats. Here's a surprise for you. Her face lit up. Wow, a chocolate croissant and new clothes. Can we have the croissant tomorrow morning? Wait, where's Daddy? Oh, he's on the balcony, talking on the phone, I replied. Even as I cherished Sarah's joy A nagging feeling lingered. How long could I keep balancing everything on my own while Keith seemed oblivious to the strain? I asked. Who was he talking to? As I peered out the window. Sure enough, Sarah was right. My husband was on the balcony, chatting away and smoking a cigarette. When I tapped on the glass, he looked up, surprised, and quickly ended his call. You're back already? He asked. Yeah, but who were you talking to? I questioned. Oh, just some work stuff, he replied nonchalantly. You left Sarah alone inside? I asked, feeling a flicker of frustration. I'm sorry. It came up suddenly. Sorry, Sarah. He apologized, his tone sheepish. Sarah, clearly disappointed, spoke up. Mommy, did you know Daddy said he would play with me, but he was on the phone a lot today? Really? I said, looking at him with a sense of betrayal. He promised we'd read a book together. Keith looked genuinely remorseful, but it didn't ease the disappointment I felt. That night, after dinner and giving Sarah her bath, I found myself reflecting on the day, feeling guilty for leaving her alone. I tried to spend extra time with her. Once she fell asleep, I knew I had to talk to Keith. Keith, are you really that busy? It feels like you're always on calls, even on weekends. The workload's been crazy, and I've had a lot of overtime, he responded, his voice tinged with exhaustion. That's why I've been coming home late lately. It's not for drinking. I get that, but when you're on the phone, can you make sure to spend time with Sarah too? Work is important, but so is our family, I reminded him gently. Okay, but I'll make sure to take Sarah with me when I go out. And if I'm going to be busy, I'll let you know in advance, he promised. Good. And Keith, please remember, Sarah is our priority, I said, my voice softening as I stood to head to bed. I'm going to bed now, Keith said, heading toward the bedroom with his phone. Over the past 6 months, Sarah and I had been sleeping in the same bed more often while Keith stayed in the other room. Although I enjoyed the closeness with Sarah, I couldn't deny that our time as a couple had diminished. Keith didn't seem to mind, but as a woman, I sometimes felt a sense of loneliness. One night, I was suddenly jolted awake by Sarah's voice. Mommy, wake up, she said urgently. I glanced at the clock. It was 2 a.m. Keith must have been asleep in the other room. I sat up and asked, What's wrong? Mommy, I have a request, Sarah said seriously. A request? What is it? I want you to break up with Daddy, she said, her words hitting me like a shockwave. I froze, trying to process what she had just said. What did you just say? I asked, my voice trembling. I want you to break up with Daddy, Sarah repeated. I stared at her, trying to understand. Why would you say something like that? Because, Mommy, if things stay like this, you're in danger. Danger? What do you mean? My heart started pounding in my chest. Tears started streaming down Sarah's face, and she continued, her voice breaking. Earlier, when I got up to use the bathroom, I heard Daddy talking on the phone in his room. He said it would be good if something happened to you, Mommy, so he could get the insurance money. My blood ran cold. What? What did you hear him say? He said that it would be good if something happened to you, and he was talking about the insurance money. My mind raced. I already knew what they were discussing. They were talking about hurting me. Why would he say that? I whispered, almost unable to believe it. Daddy said I love you, but not to you, Sarah added. He was talking to someone else. My heart sank, but I did my best to stay calm. Don't worry, Sarah. Everything will be okay, I reassured her, though I could feel the tears welling up again. My daughter, so young yet so perceptive, had sensed something wrong. Even at her age, she understood the gravity of the situation. I felt a mixture of gratitude for her bravery and anger toward Keith for his actions. Sarah, I began, my voice filled with determination. I need to talk to you about something very important. Can you listen carefully? I'm listening, Mommy, Sarah said, her eyes wide with concern. If what you said is true, then you can't stay with Daddy anymore, right? I asked, my voice steady despite the storm inside me. That's right, Sarah said, nodding seriously. I'm thinking about leaving, I told her, my heart heavy. Do you want to stay with me? Sarah thought for a moment, then looked me in the eyes with determination. Yes, I want to stay with you, Mommy. Are you sure about leaving? I asked one last time. Yes, I'm sure. I can't be without you, she said, her voice filled with trust. Thank you, Sarah, I said, feeling a mix of emotions. Let's go. We quietly gathered her things, trying not to make a sound. Sarah packed her backpack carefully, and I, too, prepared to leave. I left my wedding ring on the living room table. We left the house in the dark, and by 5 a.m., we arrived at my parents' house. I rang the doorbell, and my sleepy mother answered. Emma and Sarah, what brings you here so early? She asked, looking surprised. I'm sorry for dropping in like this, Mom. Can we stay here for a while? I asked, my voice shaking with emotion. Of course, dear, she said, leading me inside. But what's going on? Once inside, my mother put Sarah to bed in the next room. As I sat down with a cup of tea, I tried to collect my thoughts. Mom, there's something I need to talk about. Keith is planning something involving me, possibly orchestrating an accident, I said, the words heavy in my mouth. My parents stared at me, shocked into silence. My father, trying to maintain composure, asked, What do you mean? Why would Keith do something like that? Sarah overheard Keith talking on the phone. He told the person he loved her. I suspect he's having an affair, I explained. An affair? That's unbelievable. My father's disbelief was evident, but Sarah only overheard the call. How can you be sure? I pulled out Keith's tablet from my bag. I brought Keith's tablet with me. If we look into it, things might become clearer. Since Keith wasn't likely using his phone for the secret communication, I suspected he'd been using his tablet. When I opened it, it wasn't locked. Cautiously, I scrolled through it. As I opened the email app, my suspicions were confirmed. There were numerous exchanges with a woman I didn't recognize. Look at this. My mother pointed at the screen. It seems like a detailed plan to cause an accident involving you. I quickly snapped photos of the emails and printed out the conversations for future reference. Just then, my phone rang, interrupting my thoughts. It was Keith, determined. I answered the call and switched it to speaker mode. Hello? What's up, Emma? Where are you? I woke up, and no one was in the house. I'm worried. Keith's voice came through, feigning concern. Is that all you have to say? I retorted, my voice trembling with anger. Really? What do you mean? I'm worried about the two of you. Are you planning to get me caught in an accident? Keith's response was swift, his tone defensive. What? Why would you say that? His voice sounded shaken. Realizing I knew about his secret plan, he probably had been calling his mistress while I was asleep. Now, knowing I was aware, he was likely panicking. Because I heard it from Sarah, I said firmly. You plan to cause an accident so you can collect the insurance money. Sarah, standing beside me, spoke up. Daddy said it would be good if something happened to you, so he could get the insurance money. That's not true. It can't be, Keith protested, his voice sounding weak, confirming my suspicions. I stood firm. Why would she lie about that? Keith? I know everything about your affair and the plan to harm me. I've got proof. Keith seemed at a loss for words. His silence spoke volumes, admitting the truth. His guilt was undeniable. I never thought you could stoop so low, I said, my voice rising with anger. I'll raise Sarah properly. You can go live happily with your mistress, but I never want anything to do with you again. I hung up the phone without waiting for his response. I had unknowingly raised my voice too much, waking Sarah from her sleep. She stood at the doorway, concern written all over her face. "Mommy, are you okay?" Sarah asked, her voice filled with worry. "Sorry, Sarah, did I wake you up?" I asked, feeling guilty. "No, don't worry about it. What happened with Daddy?" she asked, her concern evident. I pulled her into my arms and hugged her tightly. "It's okay now. You don't have to worry anymore." "Really? Are we safe? Can we always be together?" Sarah's eyes were wide with hope. I nodded and smiled at her. "Yes, we are. We're safe. We'll always be together." The decision to divorce Keith was clear. I filed through my lawyer and secured significant child support. While Keith's actions could have warranted police involvement, I chose not to pursue that route, wanting to avoid further disruption for Sarah. I cut ties with Keith completely and let the legal matters be handled by my lawyer. Shortly after, I learned that Keith was abandoned by both his parents and his mistress. Now, he struggles to pay child support and settle the property division. As for Sarah and me, we started a new life in a new house. Sarah adjusted well to her new nursery school and seemed to enjoy each day. Despite the challenges that may lie ahead, I'm confident that with Sarah by my side, we can face anything. She is my partner, and together, we will overcome whatever comes our way.